she's so fine. Hell of a hell of a blows my mind. Hell of a hell of a lights my...
What's good, guys? This story is coming out of Rolling Stone. And again, thanks to Marie722 for sending it to me. A Target sex trafficking hoax is going viral on TikTok. Okay, so I saw this TikTok that Target is the new sex trafficking hub, or very commonly known for sex trafficking, and I saw this girl posted her story, so I wanted to say about mine, Mackenzie Jade says in her video. She then tells the story about being followed by a man while in the produce section of her local Target, then being circled by two additional men with nothing in their shopping carts. She called her mother and boyfriend, who contacted Target employees to ensure her safety and walk her to the car, where she says she saw one of the men she had seen in the store waiting for her. The harrowing story, told in two parts, is hashtagged sex trafficking awareness and hashtag Target, and has a combined 1.2 million views. In an Instagram direct message, Mackenzie says she posted the video, quote, to raise awareness to the situation. It is something you only see in movies, end quote, she tells Rolling Stone. I saw another girl post what happened to her, not thinking it would ever happen to me at my local Target. The it Mackenzie is referring to is sex trafficking. Over the past week on TikTok, there have been dozens of videos, some with millions of views, in which young women from all over the country describe being followed by strange men or women in Target in what they describe as an attempted trafficking operation, though the videos don't really clarify what that term means. In one video, Allie Melman, a 27-year-old woman from St. Paul, Minnesota, describes being approached by a woman in Target 5 years ago who asked her if she needed financial help, and then gave her a man's business card. When she looked up the name on the card, she couldn't find a website or social media profile for the man. At the time, I thought it was really weird, says Melman, whose video got more than 587,000 views. But it wasn't until she saw other videos on TikTok of women describing similar experiences that she thought it might have been linked to the trafficking. I was like, oh my God, that sounds exactly like what happened to me. In a two-part video series with more than 7 million views, Cassidy Brown, 22, from Omaha, Nebraska, describes being followed by a young woman and what appeared to be her mother at a local Target before getting security involved. All of the young women in these videos describe feeling uncomfortable or unsafe by their encounters, but only labeling them as a trafficking attempt after seeing other women share their own stories in TikTok videos. I saw a lot of videos of other women being followed around on the street, at other stores, Walmart, Home Goods, things like that, says Brown. I was like, this is insane. And a lot of women were saying this happened to me at this store or at this specific location. It seems like it's happening way more often than we think it does. Despite the stickiness of such narratives on social media, however, anti-trafficking experts are highly skeptical of these reports. I have never heard a case of anyone being abducted from Target in my 20 years in this field, says Jean Brugman, Executive Director of Freedom Network USA, a national network of anti-trafficking advocates. Representatives for Target did not immediately return a request for comment. Indeed, when asked about the TikTok rumors, many experts say they adhere to a familiar pattern of sex trafficking rumors and urban legends intended to spread hysteria while simultaneously misrepresenting the realities of what trafficking actually looks like. Despite the omnipresence of narratives about young women being abducted by mysterious strangers in public places, the majority of trafficking victims are marginalized people, undocumented migrants, for instance, or homeless LGBTQ teenagers who don't have access to shelters, who more often than not know and trust their traffickers. Anytime we teach people false information, we have to remember everyone hears these narratives over and over about what trafficking looks like, says Kate Diadamo, a partner at Reframe Health Justice, who has studied the history of sex trafficking narratives. Not only does it mean that people who are vulnerable to being trafficked are made more vulnerable because they're made invisible, we're also focusing on the wrong place. Dubious rumors purporting to raise awareness about the, quote, realities, end quote, of sex trafficking are nothing new. A lot of these urban legends, it's old wine in new bottles, says folklorist Benjamin Radford, noting there's a long established genre of, quote, stranger danger, in quote, stories focused on abductors of women and children at malls stemming all the way back to the 1950s. Recent high profile sex trafficking cases in the news, such as the story of Jeffrey Epstein, as well as the frenzy surrounding the trafficking centric QAnon conspiracy theory, have led to the resurgence of such rumors. Most notably, an urban legend focusing on the online furniture retailer Wayfair as a trafficking hub went viral on TikTok last year. Photos of zip ties marking women's cars as kidnapping targets in parking lots at Walmart and Target also went viral on Facebook and Instagram. One of the functions of folklore is people tell stories about what they're concerned about, says Radford. And what they're concerned about these days, rightly or wrongly, is this problem of sex trafficking. He classifies his most recent entry as an example of a memorite, or a first person story, that lends credence to the narrative and gives it more immediacy. The sheer number of them tends to lend credibility, he says, of the TikTok target trafficking videos. If there's one viral video, you can dismiss that. But when you have dozens of people saying similar stories, that will get people talking. Human trafficking tends to give rise to such stories because, due to its underground nature, there's not a large body of reliable data on the phenomenon. The problem with human trafficking is the amount of information we have about actual trafficking cases is extremely limited, says Karen Benjamin, Chief Communications Officer of the Polaris Project. There is no good way to collect data. There is extremely limited victim reporting, and a huge percentage of people in trafficking situations never identify as being trafficking situations. For this reason, human trafficking and sex trafficking in particular tend to be widely misrepresented in mainstream media. Though most coverage focuses on young white women as victims of a shadowy ring of abductors a la Taken, anti-trafficking experts say that most trafficking survivors, up to 90%, Benjamin estimates, though no hard numbers are available, are disenfranchised and vulnerable people who already have relationships with their traffickers. People who are in a position that they're unable to leave where they're being abused and exploited, such as homelessness, substance abuse, or lack of immigration status, are more likely to be subject to trafficking, says Brugman. Advocating for a stronger social safety net, expansion of affordable housing, affordable medical care. Those are the tangible things we can all do to really make a difference to stop this crime from happening, she says. Unfortunately, due to societal misperceptions surrounding trafficking, calls for such sweeping infrastructural changes are often ignored in favor of focusing on more sensationalized stories of attempted abductions in stores or parking lots. This ultimately has the effect of diverting attention and resources away from people who are most in need, says Brugman. It makes it harder for trafficking survivors to see themselves in this narrative and feel that law enforcement and service providers will recognize their experience as an experience of abuse and exploitation. Brown, the TikToker whose videos detailing her own experience garnered millions of views, says while she is unsure her experience was, quote, 100% sex trafficking, end quote, the encounter she described in her videos felt very uncomfortable and unsafe, and I've been taught from a young age to remove myself from situations that felt that way. She says she received hundreds of comments from women who shared similar stories about being approached in a Target or another department store. I don't think every woman in the comments has been making up these stories. Unfortunately, it's the world we live in that women have to be on guard 24/7, she says. We have to be aware and super vigilant all the time. Indeed, while stories like Brown's might not serve to underscore the existence of shadowy mid-end department store trafficking rings, they do serve to highlight a crucial and very real phenomenon. In a world where nearly 1 in 3 women has experienced some form of physical violence, albeit usually at the hands of a partner or loved one and not a stranger, women have every right to feel wary and uncomfortable when approached by people, particularly men, in public spaces. The danger, cautions Radford, arises when people exaggerate about things like this when they are real, legitimate dangers out there. So yes, absolutely. These urban legends have been out there since the 50s. I know just me as a child in the 70s, I can remember in the 80s hearing stories very similar to this. While not all of them are urban legend, this is what the article is saying, some of them are real situations, but just because you see millions of views on a video doesn't make it real. Let's watch this TikTok video. Now, this is Cassidy Brown's TikTok video.
Okay, I saw someone else do this, and apparently Target is now a sex trafficking place or hub, and I would like to say what happened to me. So I live in Papillion, Nebraska, literally the smallest suburb on the planet, I feel, and I was at the Target that I always go to, and this woman walked in with seemingly her 16-year-old daughter. I don't know if it was her daughter or not. Looks at me, speaks to the daughter looks at me, and then they speak to each other, and then they stop right in front of the sunglasses. I'm by the purses, so it's close, it's across an aisle from each other, and then they move from the sunglasses to the socks, to the bras, to the underwear, literally in close proximity to me. So I move, think it's sketch, walk halfway across the store to the clothes, and I'm texting my boyfriend telling him what happened, it's weird, and I look over, and they're 6 feet from me. So I dip, I go back to the completely other end of the store from where I walked in, and I'm calling on the phone with my boyfriend, and I look over, and they're 6 feet from me, following me around the store. Part 2. Okay, part 2 of almost potentially being sex trafficked at Target. So I'm on the phone with my boyfriend, literally trying to skedaddle from these people. And I'm like, what do I do? So I'm like, okay, there were 2 employees by the makeup where I was. I'm going to go back there and just stand right next to them. And as I'm standing there just kind of like minding my own business, the woman is literally so close to me. So close to me. So I look to the employee and I'm like, hey, can I talk to you for a second? And she's like, yeah. We go to the side. I'm like, this woman behind me is following me around the store. She's following me to 3 separate different locations. And then the woman is like probably like 4 feet from me. And I'm like, gesturing like, that's her, that's the woman. And then the employee pulls me off to the side where the woman can't see me. I explain to her what's happening. The employee walks me to the other end, well, was going to walk me to the other self-checkout lane at the very end of the store when we run to the security officer. I tell him what happened. He takes me to an actual checkout lane, so not self-checkout, and waits for me on the other side, and escorts me to my vehicle, and we don't see the woman since then because she saw me talking to security.
So I just wanted to bring this story to the channel because this hoax has been going bananas, not only on TikTok, even just word of mouth. I've heard it so many times from friends. So they just wanted to highlight that the stranger danger hoax is sweeping social media, but one expert explains that the urban legend is old wine in new bottles, guys. And I'm going to end the video on that note. Thanks for watching.